Welcome to the Sarpy County Board of Equalization meeting. A copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is located on the north wall of the county boardroom. We'll call the meeting to order. We have present today Commissioners Kelly, Klug, Mixon, Warren, and Burmeister. We'll start with and we also have the county administrator and the county clerk. And I see the county attorney is here as well.
Also, we need the assessor.
And we have Dan Pittman, the assessor. Trace Jones is here. Do I need anybody else?
Nope, we're good. We're good on that one.
Thank you. We'll rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
North wall. North wall. Angie?
What?
North wall. We have the Opens Meetings Act is posted on the north wall.
I said it already. Yeah, I said that already. You think I didn't? Didn't I say that the Open Meetings Act
Yes,
was
you
posted?
did.
Oh, I must miss that.
I was listening.
They're trying to give me a hard time already, I think.
You just listen.
We just ignore you.
We'll start with the consent equalization agenda. Would any commissioner like to see any item removed from the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
It was moved by Commissioner Kelly and seconded by Commissioner Klug to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carries.
Item 5.1 on the regular agenda is a tax correction 17074. Dan Pittman, County Assessor.
Oops. Just click one.
Good afternoon. Do you have any questions on this one?
Anybody have any questions for Dan?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Klug, seconded by Commissioner Kelly. Any discussion? Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carries.
All agenda items having been addressed as published, the Board of Equalization is adjourned.
Okay.
Welcome to the Sarpy County Board of Commissioners meeting for January 24th, 2023. It's 3:03 p.m. We have present Commissioners Kelly, Klug, Mixon, Warren, and Burmeister. We'll start with item number 3.1, awards, proclamations, presentations, introduction of the new attorneys, and we have Lee Polikoff and Bonnie Moore present.
Engaged. Good afternoon. Lee Polikoff. I'm here to do something that I've always enjoyed in the past, introducing new attorneys to the office. And I thought it was always an important opportunity for the board to recognize and see who their counsel was going to be and start a long-term relationship. COVID kind of got in the way and we stopped doing that. And so we have, I think I have 6 people to introduce to you today. They have not, they were hired because of turnover in the office, people who have left the office, people who have retired, which is also a big change for me in my 20-some years as county attorney. I had a pretty stable office and a good retention, but I guess when you worked 18, 19, 20 years and you decide to retire, I couldn't stop that. So it was good. And then you'll also be able to see the quality of the people that we hire. And, you know, you mostly will deal with, as we know, civil attorneys. And I do have one in the pack to introduce to you as a civil attorney. But the other attorneys that represent you in other matters and other ways, and you might not have as many contacts with them on the criminal side or the child support side, but it's still important that I introduce them to you. So let's get into it. The first one I'd like to call up is Kayla Starbuck. Kayla's in our civil division. She's started yesterday. Since we already have a Kayla in the Civil Division, she said she has no problem answering to Starbucks. So that's what, that happened right away, and we will continue that. She's a lifelong resident of Bellevue. She has a bachelor's degree from Doane University with majors in international relations and strategic communications, and received her JD from Creighton Law School in 2021. She was an extern for Judge Hutton in our county court during law school, and clerked for a private firm in Iowa, where she was later a contract public defender for the state of Iowa. That experience includes working over 50 mental health cases in the last year alone. So she'll be a good addition to our civil division, which is confronted with that and many other things on the civil division. I'm going to have you stand up over here. I'm going to bring them all up, and then Wound, if you have questions for him, you can grill them. And I had to make a program here so I wouldn't miss anybody or miss any good details. Tom Gross has joined our criminal division. Tom has a Bachelor of Arts in Philosophy from Creighton in 2013 and is a graduate of Creighton Law School. He maintains a felony caseload and is passionate about working with victims. Tom brings experience from private practice and working experience as a deputy county attorney from his work with Scottsbluff County Attorney's Office and the Dodge County Attorney's Office. In Dodge County, he was the chief deputy and handled a wide variety of cases and management of the office. One of Tom's best qualities is his giant schnauzer, Elvis, who visits the office occasionally.
That's true.
Join Tyler Lunger. Tyler's joined our criminal division. He has a BA in political science from Creighton University and his JD from Creighton Law in 2012. He is and has been a Bellevue resident. He joins us having worked in Iowa's Fremont and Mills County Combined County Attorney's Office for 6 years. He served in every capacity and gained important trial and management experience, making him a valuable addition to our office. Both Tyler and Tom Gross have provided input and leadership in updating our case management system that we've used for 20 years. Tyler also serves in the Army Reserve, 8th Legal Operations Detachment, and his leadership skills and training are evident in his work. I think he's a captain.
Yeah, right.
And so do you work for John Rice, who's a major?
Along with him, yeah.
Okay. Sarah Sapinski. Sarah just started in our criminal division, but Sarah has a BA in psychology from the University of Sioux Falls in 2007, and before graduating law school in 2012. She used her counseling and psychological skills in several healthcare facilities in Sioux Falls and Omaha, as well as volunteering in Kampala, Uganda, providing vocational, psychological, and medication support to women and children with AIDS, HIV. In 2013, Sarah joined the Dodge County Attorney's Office. In 2018, she was promoted to Chief Deputy, and last March, she was appointed to Acting County Attorney by the County Board. She chose not to run for the county attorney position and accepted our invitation to bring her skills and commitment to serve Sarpy County. Thank you. Madison McNary. Madison's joined our criminal division. She has a BA from Ohio State University, which might be a first for us.
Go Buckeyes.
Her degree in communications and theater. She wasn't an easy catch, and you might ask why. She held a full scholarship member to the Ohio State track and field team, was 3-time Big Ten champion and 2-time All-American, Big Ten All-Academic, and Big Ten Sportsmanship Award. She holds the second fastest 60-meter dash record in school history and ran professionally overseas as a sprinter. We did steal her from Don Klein, partly because I learned that her mother was a retired judge in Florida, and mostly because she spent 4 years with Douglas County, where for 2 years she maintained a domestic violence specific caseload.
Welcome.
Megan Booker. Megan has a BS in Business Administration. She's in our criminal division, by the way. And criminal justice. She has a JD from Washburn University in Topeka, Kansas. She has clerking experience in the Nebraska Attorney General's Office, the Kansas Attorney General Office, and the Shawnee County District Attorney's Office in Topeka before joining the Butler County Attorney's Office in El Dorado, Kansas after graduation in 2019. Megan was motivated to move to Omaha, where her family lives, and her father had a law practice. He's retired now. Thanks. Paper, so none of it's sticking together. Last, Joni Sheaf, but not least. Joni has a BS in psychology from Nebraska Wesleyan and is a 1999 graduate of Creighton Law. She spent 10 years with the Douglas County Attorney's Office, 5 years with Project Harmony Child Advocacy Center as a forensic interview specialist and case coordinator, and spent the last 3 years as an attorney with the Nebraska Department of Human Services, advising the Division of Children and Family Services, as well as serving as a Special Assistant Attorney General representing Health and Human Services in juvenile court matters. In her spare time, she volunteers as a track coach and wrangles her 5 children, including a set of triplets. Thank you. And I know, she's in the juvenile division, so that's, I don't think I announced that at first. So those are our attorneys, our newest attorneys, and if you have any questions for them.
Any questions of the attorneys?
Commissioner Kelly usually has some questions.
Welcome. Traditionally, we like to hear your college, fight song. No, not really. But it looks like we do have a future member of our Sarpy County track team here, right? No, it's great. You guys, what a depth and breadth of experience you guys are bringing to Sarpy County. And I heard a lot of you are going into the criminal division, and that's good because we're tough on crime here. And the reason we are is because we like a safe community, and you guys are on the forefront of making that happen. We talk a lot about our public safety officers and corrections officers, but county attorneys and public defenders, for that matter, are such a critical linchpin in public safety, and it goes so often without credit because you guys are working behind the scenes, and in many times really difficult cases that are difficult not only emotionally but personally for you because you have to you learn about a lot of things that aren't really pleasant sometimes. So I just want to say I appreciate that you guys have decided to come join our team. We've got some great leadership over there with Lee and Bonnie. You're joining a dynamic team, the fastest growing county in the state, and we have plans of getting a lot bigger. And unfortunately, with that growth will come more crime and more business, unfortunately for you. But we're so glad that you've decided to make a commitment to our team, and we'll do everything we can to provide you the support and the tools that you need as a county board so that you can be successful. So welcome to all of you.
Anyone else?
I couldn't say it much better. Just welcome. We're thrilled that you chose Sarpy County, and we look forward to working with you.
And just one thing, Commissioner Kelly's pretty, he likes to be low key, but he's very competitive. He used to run the bases incredibly well when he was playing softball back in the day. So you never know. He might try to get in shape and challenge you for a little track meet.
Well, I actually thought about going to law school at one point, but my 2.1 grade point average couldn't get me over the hurdle there. So I appreciate the rigorous mental and, just the ability that you guys bring to the table to represent your clients and or represent the county in your roles. So thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thanks so much, everyone. Appreciate all your background in mental health areas as well. We have a lot of mental health initiatives in Sarpy County, and we work together as a team there, so that's going to be a great add. And to Tom and Tyler, thank you for updating a computer system that apparently was 20 years old, and usually they're obsolete in about 5, so apparently we're ready for you. Welcome to the county. Item number 4, Commissioners' comments. Commissioner Kelly?
No, thank you.
No comment.
Good.
Mr. Hoynes? We'll move on to the consent agenda. Would any commissioner like to see any item removed from the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Warren and seconded by Commissioner Kelly to approve the consent agenda. Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carries.
Item number 6.1 on the regular agenda, Resolution 2023-010, accept the June 30, 2022 Sarpy County financial statement with supplementary information and independent auditor's report issued by Hayes & Associates, LLC, Bill Conley, CFO, Frank Hayes, Brian Brockmeyer, and Austin Henke, Hayes & Associates.
Good afternoon. This is a milestone day for us in the fiscal office, but the annual audit is a monumental task for a lot of people. And on December 22nd of 2022, the audited financial statements for the year ended June 30th of 2022 were issued by Hayes & Associates, the county's independent auditor. This is the culmination of 9 months of planning and work by both their firm and many at Sarpy County. I want to specifically thank a few people. First, in our office, Jenny Rock and Michaela Gansimer, who are just completely involved in this, are so critical to the effort. And I can't thank them enough because I lean really, really heavily on them. And then also I want to thank really a member of our extended team, and that's Tim Lenz of Bergen KDV, who it's an outside CPA firm that we use to help us with preparation for the audit in terms of some of the GASB pronouncement implementations, some of the, a lot of the year-end journal entries and stuff that are extremely complex. I've been around a little while. As I've mentioned before, the financial statements for a county are the most complex I've ever seen in my career. I mean, it's great that we have Tim on board to help us a little bit with that. The newly formed Sarpy County Audit Committee met last week, and I briefly summarized the audit to them. I'm going to spend a little bit more time today on some of the numbers, telling a little bit of the story. The audit committee also had time to talk directly with Hayes & Associates in what I call a quiet period. So they had some direct dialogue today. And after I conclude with talking about the numbers, Austin is here from Hayes & Associates, and he'll come up and say a few words and answer any questions that you have. I would also just say the last thing before I move on is that the audit report and these slides are already on the sarpy.gov website. So this is a similar slide to what I've shown the last couple of years. This shows the 8 sections of the annual audited financial statements that we issue. And I'm going to just kind of bounce through these really quickly. You've got the slides in front of you. I'm only going to talk about a couple of the sections, but just to kind of give you the perspective of the 68 pages, this is the grouping. So the first 3 pages are the independent auditor's report. That is what Hayes and Associates, one of the 2 sections that Hayes and Associates issues. Notably in this one, just get right to the key item. It's an unmodified opinion, and where they state that the financial statements in this report present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the county. That is the ideal finding. The next section of the audit report is the management discussion and analysis, sometimes called MD&A. This is a section that predominantly I write that comes out of financial information that tells the story of what the financial numbers in the back of the report are saying. Today we won't spend any time on that, but if you're curious, that is an interesting read showing the comparisons of the numbers over the last couple of years. I will spend a few minutes on the government-wide financial statements, the pages 16 and 17, and try to highlight some of the changes. So there's really 2 financial statements there. I'm only going to talk about those 2 and just kind of walk down some of the key things that changed. First is the statement of net position. This is like a balance sheet for business, what you have and what you owe as of a particular date. In this case, it's as of June 30th of 2022. So notably, we had a few line items that changed a lot. Our cash and investments increased from last year by $41 million, shown on the right there. We had a total of $180 million cash at the end of the year. The next slide here, this slide shows the primary reason for that is that we issued bonds and we still had bond proceeds on hand at the end of the year. And I'll talk more about bonds. That's one of the key themes of the report this year, as you might imagine, with our record year of bonding. The next item of notable change, receivables increased by $6.8 million to a total of $34.7 million. And the explanation here is due to implementation of GASB 87. And if I wake up in the middle of the night and hear or think of GASB 87, I'm usually up all night then, because this was a nightmare. GASB stands for Government Accounting Standards Board. It's a pronouncement for how we have to account for leases. And it makes the notion of leasing, either lessor or lessee, in my opinion, entirely too complicated. And so we had to buy software to help analyze these leases, and we had to rely a lot on Tim in order to book all these entries. And so this line item went up a total of $6.8 million. $6.7 million of that is due to booking a lease receivable on our proprietary fund for the stadium lease. So some of the numbers get impacted by the accounting pronouncements and the accruals that they require us to make. You'll hear GASB 87 a little bit later too. So another theme of the financials. Capital assets, these are fixed assets. We have a total of $308 million, up $86 million from last year. The county added $105 million of capital expenditures during the year. That was offset by $8.4 million of depreciation and $10.5 million of disposals. Disposals are mostly due to annexations. So when a city annexes a portion of the county, we write off, in essence, the roads, the value of the roads that are still on hand. Of note, this $105 million of additions to capital expenditures during the year is higher than the prior 4 fiscal years combined. So we got a lot done this past year, invested a lot. So total assets, $547 million, up $140 million from the prior year. On the liability side, our bonds and notes payable increased a whopping $95 million to a total of $183 million. This slide shows, or summarizes really the 5-year trend. And you can see on the top, why did we go up $95 million? Well, we issued $100 million in bonds, and we paid $5 million in principal on all of our bonds. So, most of the bonds that we've issued and are outstanding are road bonds, for which we have a dedicated revenue source. Of all the bonds that we have outstanding, we really have about $40 million that are related to the correctional center, which we've levied tax for. Further down on the liabilities section, deferred revenue and outflows. This is another one that line item that is impacted by GASB 87 and by ARPA funds and entries for our pension and related deferred inflows. So things that are really kind of GASB-related accounting entries. So finally, our net position increased 29.1 million over the prior year to 281 million. This chart shows the 5-year trend of our net position. It's kind of like net equity. It's how much equity do we have in the county in terms of fixed assets and capital and everything. So, and it's grown about 9% average per year over the last 5 years. So the other financial statements, so just the only other financial statement I'm going to talk about is the statement of activities, and think of this like an income statement on a business. So we have revenues and expenses. So on the revenues side, we had a total revenues of $138 million. That's in blue. It's up $10 million over the prior year. Our charges for services actually went down by $10 million, and that's due to lower sewer connection fees. The prior year, we had a large amount of sewer connection fees that were passed through. We got revenue, and we passed them on to the sewer agency. Operating grants increased $13.5 million due to recognizing what we have spent out of ARPA. So ARPA, we don't record as revenue. We've never recorded as revenue any of the ARPA money until we spend it. As soon as we spend it, we book it as revenue and expense at the same time. On the expense side, our expenses were $99.1 million. That's down $2.7 million from the prior year. Really, all that came from the business type expenses, which related to what I just said. We didn't have all that sewer money going through, so our sewer expenses were way down. So total revenues less expenses was $39.6 million. That's up $12.8 million from the prior year. And the change in net position was $29.1 million, which we saw on the previous slide. So that's kind of all the numbers I'm going to talk about. So, but I'm always happy to talk to you about any questions if you look at the reports and want to talk further. The rest of the really the bulk of the audit report is there are additional financial statements. We have fund financial statements for government funds, proprietary funds, and fiduciary funds. They're not on the same accounting basis. The government funds is on the modified accrual. The others are on the full accrual. So those are in there that show kind of fund by fund in major segments how we're doing. The notes to the financial statements, a lot of that is required, and we added a footnote on, or we expanded the footnote on leases for GASB 87, so that added another page or two this year. So there's some good information there. Then there's required and other supplemental information listed in the back. And then the final, 7 or 8 pages is the another section that is put together and provided by the independent auditors, Hayes and Associates, where they report on internal controls, compliance, and other findings. And I took a picture of one of the pages, page 66, and I would just note that this hasn't always been the case since I've been here. We've had some minor issues and some things that in various offices that we needed to clean up, nothing really major, but I'm pleased to report this year that this is perfectly clean. This is exactly what we would want in terms of an audit report, and the findings. So I do want to just conclude with a comment about our auditor, our independent auditors, Hayes and Associates. This is the third year, this culminates the third year of our initial 3-year agreement with them. We have a 2-year extension that we'll be talking to the audit committee about. I want to publicly thank them for their excellent work. It's really been a pleasure to work with their entire team. They've been easy to work with and very cooperative. And so I'm pleased with their work, and we'll take that to the audit committee and see how they want to move forward. But Austin Hankey is here. I'm going to ask him to come up. He can say a few words, and you can ask him questions about the audit. So thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Well, hello, Commissioners. Glad to be here again. As Bill mentioned, we've been working on the audit now for 3 years, and I also want to commend his team, Bill, Jenny, everybody involved, as well as the members of the clerk's office, treasurer's office, everybody that we work through that really brings all of the information together to allow us to conduct the audit. As Bill mentioned, it's a big undertaking. Second largest county in Nebraska. It takes some time, not only on our end, but as well as preparation on the county's end. So we do appreciate all the work that you guys go through as well to make this happen. On that note, Bill mentioned, we issued as of December 22nd, 2022. That comes within the required filing date mandated by the state of Nebraska by 6 months after year end. So in this case, December 30th, it needs to be filed with the state. That's the second year out of the 3 that we have met that date. And to my recollection, that's the 2 out of the last, I think at this point, 11 years that has been met. So we're pretty proud to have that requirement be met for you guys on our behalf. Bill went through the financial information in pretty significant detail, touching on all of the major changes that have been going through as part of the growth of Sarpy County. Touched on our audit report, the unmodified opinion. No findings in this current period. If you note on, at least the last page, second to last page of the report in total, we do still describe the finding from last year. There's also a section that's added as a follow-up item to that to clarify that had been resolved in the current period. So not only the actions that were taken during the year to address that were more than satisfactory for our purposes, but we make sure to mention that as a requirement as well. As Bill mentioned, we met with the audit committee last week, talked over a few things, some questions that they had, some insight that we had for them, some recommendations or some of the processes that they're going through right now. I wanted to open up for if there's any specific questions for me about the report or the process or how things have been going.
Any questions for Austin?
The only question I have is years ago, I learned that auditors, you're not in this just to make the money. You're actually serving a purpose, and that's to be able to look at the books closely for us as well as for the taxpayers in the county. And so with that in mind, I struggle getting through accounting 1, as a lot of people did, I realize that.
Yes.
So my question to you is there anything in the audit that I should be overly concerned about or aware of that has not been mentioned?
I can't think of anything of note that really hasn't already been spoken about or that you all wouldn't already be aware of. We touched on the various opinions, the different changes through this year. Bill talked about the big implementation for GASB 87, which was a headache for everybody and will continue to be over the next foreseeable future as we all learn to live with it, is the best way that I'm going to put that.
Thank you.
But no, I don't have anything else that I would have as a concern that I would like to speak on today.
Thank you.
And my comment will be adding on to Commissioner Warren's. And
Sure.
the things I always look for when I look at audits is the one page that's really critical to me is internal control and adequate internal control. And I know that's on toward the back of the report. But that section is so important because when those controls are tested and they are in place, the accuracy and the reliability of the numbers are that much stronger. Because you can have a report and you can have all the numbers, and then you go to a section and say, well, you're weak in these internal controls. Those are red flags then in the report, and we do not have any of those. And Bill had mentioned in the last few years there were several small ones. They're corrected, but internal controls are so important, and they are a big focus on an audit, because once you know and you've established those baselines, then the numbers in the report are that much more, again, reliable and safe. So it's a beautiful report, and thank you guys for all the hard work. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anyone else have questions for us?
I have a question for Bill about the net position, the summary of the net. Well, it looks like we have assets and we have liabilities, and the difference between those is the net position. Is that funds? Is that things? Is it money? Is it both?
It's like you were reading my mind. I was thinking that question might come up as we came over here today. It's not cash.
Okay.
You gotta
Because
consider that.
I was going to ask if we could spend it.
It's a difference between your liabilities and your assets and your
Right.
liabilities, and it's not cash.
Okay.
So this report shows that we, our net income was 29 million.
Yeah.
But we didn't improve our cash position by 29 million in the general fund. It went up a lot because of the bond that we issued in the road fund.
Yeah.
But, so don't think of it as cash.
Okay.
Think of it as an accounting equity calculated for our financial report. You can-
So
yeah,
would it be fair to say though, Bill, that the higher that number, the better financial state the county's in, or no? The
think
higher it could be?
It generally shows, you want it higher rather than lower.
Right.
Because we have to record liabilities from an accounting standpoint. They're going to come to fruition at some point. So you want to have a net equity of
Thank
a
you.
positive amount and hopefully going up.
Appreciate that.
I
Thanks.
couldn't put it any better than that.
Any other questions for Bill or Austin?
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's moved by Commissioner Warren and seconded by Commissioner Mixon to approve. I just have one comment, and that is, for once, it's not the fault of the attorneys, the bad GASB reporting requirement. Blame the accountants for that one. Any other discussion? Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carries.
Thanks so much, Austin.
Thank you all.
Item number 6.2, Resolution 2023-020, ratify project manager's signature for change order number 005 and change order number 006 for the Sarpy County Correctional Center project in the amount of $111,845. Ryan Marr, Corrections Director.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Resolution 23-020 is to approve 2 construction change orders on the Sarpy County Correctional Center project. Change order 5 and 6. On change order 5, if you may recall, during our October tour, we talked about the floor finishes and the difference between a sealed concrete and a polyaspartic finish. That's where the costs are related to that. In our tour this afternoon, we'll get up in the behavioral health unit. You'll see what that floor finish looks like. And change order number 6, that includes a security enhancement for the area that houses our armory and our key control system. It also includes a change to the fire control system that the Papillion Fire Marshal asked that we program into our system. And then finally, there's a change for curtains in the shower areas so inmates that are using those areas can dress and undress in privacy. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have about either change order.
Questions for Ryan?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion moved by Commissioner Klug, seconded by Commissioner Kelly. Any discussion? Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carries.
Item 6.3, Resolution 2023-023, designate banks, capital stock financial institutions, or qualifying mutual financial institutions located within the county as depositories for county funds. Trace Jones, Treasurer.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. The Nebraska Auditor of Public Accounts has recommended that county boards approve depositories for county funds, periodically approve those. And the last time this board approved our depositories was in March of 2021. My office will continue to provide or present recommendations for your approval biannually in January of every odd number year after the county board members, after the elected board members have taken their oaths of office. We'll also provide recommendations for approvals if there's any major changes to the banks, such as mergers or the names of the banks. Today, we have two resolutions for your approval. The first one, 6.3, is for depositories or banks located inside Sarpy County. There are 6 of them, and all 6 of those banks were approved by this board in March of 2021. We continue to have a great relationship, business relationship with those banks, so we recommend approval of all 6. Madam Chair, would you like me to address 6.4 now, or do you want me to wait?
I think you can go ahead and address it now. Do you want me to read it in first?
Please,
Okay.
please.
Item 6.4 is Resolution 2023-024, designate banks, capital stock financial institutions, or qualifying mutual financial institutions located outside of the county as alternate depositories for county funds. Trace Jones, Treasurer.
6.4 is for depositories located outside of Sarpy County. The only one that we recommend approval is NPATE, the Nebraska Public Agency Investment Trust. That NPATE was approved by this board in March of 2021, and we also continue to have a great relationship with them. They, in fact, over the last 2 years, through COVID and when interest rates were very low, our local banks were struggling to take all the cash that we needed them to take, and NPATE was there and said, hey, we'll take everything you got. So they were very helpful to us and very key to us, so we recommend absolutely approving those as well. I'm ready to answer any questions if you have.
Trace, I have a few questions. Up prior in the on 5-9, we have Access Bank, which pledged assets for $3 million. All 6 here, Access Bank, American National Bank, Core Bank, 5 Points Bank, JP Morgan Chase Bank, and Pinnacle Bank. Obviously, you can only deposit money in those institutions that are covered by FDIC up to their limits. Anything above that, you need pledged assets. So do all of these banks have a pledged asset with us currently? Maybe some don't because we're not over our FDIC limits. But
Go ahead, sorry.
That's it. I'm just, at that point, obviously, we always have to have pledged assets. We're making sure that we get those pledged assets, and
Absolutely, and that was the reason for 5.9 for Access Bank. We had asked for an additional $3 million. Right now, we're $2 million under the pledged securities that they have now. But with March 31st coming on, that's when our property taxes are due. We asked for an additional $3 million, which would give us about $5 million extra space right now. We'll present another one for you next week or the week after to ensure that bank is good to go as well. But yes, that we're very aware of that. That's one of our focuses because it was an audit finding a couple of years ago. So we keep a close eye on all that.
because obviously, just like you're stating, the influx of cash coming in, it has to go somewhere, and obviously it all has to be protected.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to approve 6.3.
Second.
Any further discussion? Moved by Commissioner Warren, seconded by Commissioner Mixon to approve 6.3. Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carries.
Is there questions or a motion on 6.4?
Same motion, 6.4.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Warren, seconded by Commissioner Kelly to approve 6.4. Any discussion? Please vote.
Oh, wait a minute, okay, are you, Are you
Yes, I'm
Okay.
abstain because I'm on the NPATE board, so I just don't
very
want to.
good, okay. Ayes 4, abstain Mixon.
Item 7.1, Juvenile Corrections Report. Tammy Steamsma, Juvenile Services Director.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Since we did not meet in December, I am showing you November and December statistics. So we were very busy in November and December with 19 bookings in November, 34 in December. Our holdover admissions went up too. Our average daily population also went up, but remained steady for those 2 months. Average length of stay did go up from 17 to 22, and our truancy and tracker program remained pretty steady. Did want to bring to your attention, we did have 2 graduates from our alternative school in November, and that number also increased in December to 35. Our reporting center went from 63 down to 42 in December since it was the holiday. And there's our graph, pretty steady, but also showing an increase. With our medical statistics, 90 assessments in November, down to 75 in December. Clients on medication, 28 and 26. Psychiatric visits are there, as well as our clients on medications. And again, just wanting to point out how many medications they are all on individually. We did have 30 mental health watches in November and 26 in December. No grievances, ASAP visits, or EPCs. I will show you our graph or our map for November and a lot of youth that we had placed in the detention center in November. December, a little bit lower, but still quite comparable. And then most of you probably saw this great event that we had at the Juvenile Justice Center when Katie Glover sent this out back in December. But you know how passionate I am with our community partnerships that we have at the Juvenile Justice Center, and Scatter Joy Acres is one of them. And Joy Bartling, who is the owner, did bring in our very first reindeer that we have had. And so have some pictures of the youth who have been quite enamored by him, and staff as well. So just wanted to bring that to your attention and just show you that we do welcome our community partners and want to bring them in, as well as I've talked about with the youth probably joining the community at some point. We want to make sure that we're extending that relationship and that connection when they do leave our facility. Can I answer any questions?
Questions for Tammy?
On your year-to-date totals for bookings and admissions, how do those compare with historical?
So this, well, 22 definitely was a higher year because of COVID. For our previous years in 2020, it was a little bit lower, and then in 21 we did go a little bit higher too, but 22 was definitely our higher year, as far as we're talking about post-COVID anyway.
Right. Okay, thanks.
Yes.
Thanks, Tammy.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Item 7.2, Community Corrections Report. Jake Burst, Community Corrections Director.
Good afternoon. Like Tammy, I have a couple of months worth of data and then some historical data I wanted to share. So November and December, as far as pretrial release goes, were our 2 busiest months of the year. House arrest a little slow in November. And then it took a jump here in December. Our year-to-end totals are down here. We had 481 placements on programming, 710 total participants, 847 screenings with over 70,000 jail beds saved, at the tune of about $9.5 million. So here are the monthly statistics or screenings you saw, or you'll see kind of took a big jump mid-year. So I think I've talked a little bit about that. Some of that was how we kind of restructured things internally with our office, as well as communication with county court, public defender's office, county attorney's office. So that's been really helpful. And then you'll see the numbers start to kind of trend upward here toward the end of the month. And as far as this month goes, it's continued to be busy. We've already eclipsed December's number for January, and the month's not over. So anyways, here, going back to 2015, the ones I really kind of want to highlight on are these blue bars. So you'll see kind of this tremendous growth, with 2018 being our busiest every year, 2019 dropping off quite a bit, or a little bit, but still very busy. And then we hit kind of our COVID year, right, 2020, where the jail numbers were down. There was a lot more cite and release. We had significantly fewer people placed on programming. But as business kind of returns to normal, jail population starting to go up, you'll see 2022, I think that was about a 33% increase from this COVID year in 2020. These are just our electronic monitoring reports for the year. Again, January, we're very busy. Our alcohol monitoring sitting about 107 as of today's date, and about 83 on GPS. And then this is just our charge categories, which I'll probably stop showing you this graph because it doesn't really change a whole lot. A couple percentage points here and there for each category. So do you have any questions?
Questions for Jake?
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Jake.
For the protection of the public interest, I move that we go into executive session to discuss collective bargaining.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Warren, seconded by Commissioner Mixon to go into executive session. Please vote. And County Board's going to move into the next room, but
Don, I need a vote. There you go. Ayes 5, nays none.
I'm going to ask
Hey,
that the
Tammy.
board, I'm going to ask the board to go first out in the hallway to get the picture that we missed, so we can let Emily go, and then we'll be right there, guys.
And we also need one of you around here. Okay.
Where'd Hoynes go?
You know what you're doing. You don't need me.
Yeah, we're going to do that every time now. We're going to go in the conference room. It's just easier than making.
Can you read this? Can you read that?
Oh, yes, thank you. Is it stuck on there?
Here's one. Here's this one. I used to have it.
Oh, here's a floater.
Oh, gosh, and of course I didn't take down the time. Does anybody know?
You
what
went in at 3:50.
Okay. It is now 4:32 p.m. At 3:50, we went into executive session where our discussion was restricted to collective bargaining. I need a motion that we return to regular session.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Mixon, seconded by Commissioner Warren. Please vote.
I don't have a screen thing.
I was going to say, I need some people here. Hold on. Okay. Jim, you made the motion to go back in?
Yes.
Okay, who did the second?
Gary.
Yeah, we'll do that.
You
No
want me
problem.
to,
No, it's good. We're good. I seconded it.
okay, now, okay, please vote then. So we got, oh, you're all here, all right. Mr. Kelly, are you an A? Okay, A's 5, nays none.
Okay, and
Now we're gonna adjourn.
yep, all agenda items having been addressed as published, the Board of Commissioners is adjourned.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so that one's there. Okay, now. Well, do you know what, this, oh, I do too. Okay, I have to call this one because you're right, we don't have it. Okay, are we ready here?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
What?
Wait a minute, wait. I get settled back here. All right, it's, what time is it? 4:34. Okay, it's 4:34 on January 24th, 2023. And I'd like to call the Sarpy County Board of Corrections meeting to order. A notice of the Open Meetings Act is located on the north wall of the county boardroom. All commissioners are present, along with, well, our board administrator, he'll show up, Dan Points, and myself, Deb Hotelling, county clerk, and register of deeds, and I'll be acting as board chairman until a new one is elected. First item on the agenda is Resolution 2325, election of chairman of the Sarpy County Board of Corrections for calendar year 2023. So would someone please make a motion?
I will, to nominate Commissioner Burmeister as chairman of the Board of Corrections.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. So did you hit your button? There we go. Okay, please vote. Ayes 5, nays none, motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you very, very much. And the vice chairman for the Board of Corrections for calendar year 2023 will be Commissioner Warren.
Okay.
Item 3.1 is the minutes from November 15, 2022.
Hold on here.
Deb Hotelling.
Make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
I don't think I was here for that meeting.
Yes, everybody was here, we checked.
Moved by Commissioner Kelly, seconded by
We do check.
Commissioner Mixon to approve the minutes. Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carries.
Item 4.1, Adult Corrections Report, Ryan Marr, Corrections Director.
Commissioners.
Okay, so I gotta have a time here.
Pull this up here for you real quickly. So not a whole lot to report on this month for the Corrections Department. What you can see here is our 5-year average of admissions and releases, and you can see that we're just a little bit below that average in 2022, but we're climbing back up there to the pre-COVID years, so kind of getting back to business as usual. And then you see our average daily population for December, that went back down. I can tell you in January of 2023, we're heading back up into that range. And then this is the average daily population for the past 5 years. And you can see that average was 156 over that 5-year period of time, and we're right on that number in 2022. That's good news for us. If you remember Mark Martin's analysis, he anticipated we'd have an inmate population in January 2023 of 220 inmates, so we're well below that number. And then just this last chart is you'll see that the majority of our population, about 70%, are awaiting adjudication, 20% sentenced, and then another 10% that have been adjudicated but are waiting on sentencing. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. We'll go over some of the new construction items as we go through the new facility. Jay Dunn is waiting for us, and we'll discuss some of that to update from the retreat last week.
Any questions? I just have one question. Sure. So the AV in the courtroom in the new jail was originally in the budget, I think, for the jail, but the Supreme Court, I think, is paying for some of that AV. Is that right?
There was some of that. I think there was a grant, Commissioner, and I think that's been taken care of.
Okay, so is
somewhere
that
near the amount of $110,000? Is that?
Okay.
That number kind of seems familiar to me.
Okay, so did that get change ordered out of our?
That was taken out of that owner contingency fund then. Yeah, let me go
Okay.
back and I will double check that.
Okay,
But that was my understanding that it was taken out.
perfect. If I could see the detail on that, not
Yeah,
right this
I
minute,
sure will.
just sometime in the next 2 weeks would
I
be
sure
great.
will. I'll follow up with Bill in his office on that.
Perfect. We will head to the jail inspection.
So you're going to call a recess, and it's 4:33.
Okay, thank you. I will call a
Oh, that's good.
recess
Okay.
at 4:33
Very good.
of the County Board of Corrections, right?
It's like 4:39.
So it's
Is
ready to
that
go
what you're
again,
trying
right?
to tell me?
And we're up and going. Okay.
We recessed the county board at 4:38 or whatever time.
4:33?
4:38
tells me.
Gary had to set me on, so wait a minute.
So now we'll reconvene the County Board of Corrections
5:34.
at 5:34.
Now you're going to adjourn.
All agenda items having been addressed as published, the Board of Corrections is adjourned.
Very good.
Woohoo.